A very good morning to my dear students. Today we are moving to discuss the exercise portions in the second section under the third unit. So, in the last class we have been discussing about three eminent space women from India who have been working as faculty persons in ISRO, and we already analyzed their life, how much they were determined, how much they were purposeful, how much they were hardworking. So, all those things we have discussed in the last class, and it was actually something which ignited our thought process also. That means it was something which inspired us also. Now we can move on to discuss the question answers given at the end of the chapter. So, there are 5 questions, and all those 5 questions are very simple. What you have to do is you have to go through all those 5 questions and try to find out the answers. Once you finished finding out all those answers, you can send it to me, and after that I will share the answers of all those 5 questions. And after that you have to draw 3 columns in your notebook and take page number 61. There is a box given, and in that particular box 2, 5, 8, 11, 13 words are given there, and you have to select all those 13 words and categorize it into 3 columns. That means you have to find out which are the words we can use to describe about all these 3 women. Okay. And now we are moving on to the next important area, grammar, the grammatical item that has included under this chapter. Yes, let us move to discuss past perfect. Now tell me, what do you mean by past perfect tense, or when we use past perfect tense, or what is actually the structure of past perfect sentences? Now tell me. Here I am going to write down a sentence in past perfect tense given in your textbook. Okay. So, now all of you please look at the sentence. So, here you can find 2 tenses. Can anyone say which are the 2 tenses used in this particular sentence? It has 2 parts. And what are the 2 parts you can find in this particular sentence? Is I had worked there. This is actually the first part, and when he came to work there. So, this portion is actually an example of past perfect, and this is an example of simple past. He plus or subject plus simple past form of the verb or past form of the verb. And now let us come back to the first portion. This is our focal area. We are dealing with what? Past perfect. Now look at this particular sentence, I had walked there. And now tell me, what is the structure of this sentence? Tell me, what is the structure of this sentence? Yes, first one I. We can definitely say that I is the subject. Very good. Then subject plus, yeah, there is the presence of had. Then plus worked. Worked is actually the third verb forms. That means worked is actually the past participle verb of work. That means it is the V3 form, the third form of the verb work. So, you all know that work is V1, worked is V2, again worked is V3. And here you have to note one thing, that in the case of some words, the V1 and the V3 are same. V1 and the V3 are same. And in some cases, V2 and V3 are same. But in some other cases, all those three forms are entirely different. That you have to understand. Then only you will be able to apply the V3 form in every sentences like this. Okay, let me say an example of a, so now look at this particular example. Here the V2 and V3 forms are same, worked, worked. But look at the example, go. Go is a V1. And what is the V2 form of go? Went. And what is the V3 form of go? Gone. So, it is an example of words having three different forms. V1, V2 and V3 are entirely different each other. And now come back to the case of the word come, C-O-M-E, come. What is the V1 form of come? Come. And what is the V2 form? Came. And what is the V3 form? Again come. So, that is what I said right now, that in some cases V1 and V3 are same. So, again please come back to this sentence. So, if how we can identify that this is an example of a past perfect tense, because here there is the presence of had plus V3, had plus V3 form of the verb work here. So, in that way, if you find this structure in everywhere, you can find that they are examples of past perfect tense, subject plus had plus V3. So, we can easily identify the presence of past perfect tense by looking at the position of the verb. If there is had plus V3, we can definitely find that it is an example of past perfect tense. Okay. So, now what you have to do is you have to create three sentences using this form. That means you have to create three examples of past perfect tense, and immediately after this online class you have to send all those three sentences to my WhatsApp number. Okay. Then only I will be able to realize whether you get the idea or whether you did not get the idea. Okay. Anyway, let us cooperate with me, then only we can complete this learning process. Now you are listening to me, and when this is going to be completed, if you are going to respond something, then only this process will be completed. Okay. So, you have to right now you have to create, immediately after watching this video, you have to create three sentences using past perfect tense, and you have to send it to me. Okay. Anyway, we can move to discuss the other areas of this past perfect tense. So, the first question which I raised in the beginning of this class was, what is the structure of past perfect tense? Now, I think that you are able to catch the structure of past perfect tense. What is the structure of past perfect tense? Had plus V3 or subject plus had plus V3. In that way, we can identify whether it is a past perfect tense or whether it is not a past perfect tense. And then comes my second question. What is that? So, my second question was, when we use past perfect tense. Now, look at this sentence. Here we can find past perfect tense. Had retired, had plus V3. So, this is an example of past perfect tense. So, when we use past perfect tense, yes, at the age of 60, he had already retired from ISRO. Now, tell me, if you are intelligent, you can easily tell when we use past perfect. Yeah, when we want to speak a certain point of time, we have to use past perfect. So, look at this explanation. Yes, it speaks about a certain point of time. At what time he had retired from ISRO? Yeah, at the age of 60. So, it speaks about certain point of time. So, when he was 60, he had retired. So, that means we can clearly say that we normally use past perfect tense when we are speaking about a certain point of time. So, in that way we can say that if you actually want to speak about a certain point of time, you can definitely use which tense? You can definitely use past perfect. Okay. And now we are going back to the first example we have written. What was the example? Now we are moving on to discuss another important thing while using past perfect. Okay. So, now look at this particular sentence and tell me how many tenses are used in this particular sentence. We can find two tenses. Which are the tenses used here? Very good, right? Yeah, what you said is right. Past perfect and simple past. Here we can simply identify it is an example of past perfect by looking at the had plus V3 form. So, we can say that it is an example of past perfect. And now coming to the second portion, subject plus past verb. Came is actually the past verb. So, we can say that it is an example of a simple past. Now, my question is that when we use simple past and past perfect together in a sentence, at what occasion we use simple past and past perfect together in a sentence? Yeah, it is very, you can find the fact very easily from this example. So, look at this example. I had walked there. The speaker is saying that he had worked there when another person came to work there. That means this refers to the first action and this refers to the second action. See, for example, the second person came there when he had already there. So, he had worked there is actually the first action. Then only this action happened. So, if you want to speak two past things, if you want to speak two things which have already happened, you can use past perfect to speak about the first action and simple past to speak about the second action. So, here this is actually the first action, this is actually the second action, and all these two actions already happened. So, that is what I am saying, that when you want to refer to two actions that happened in the past, you can use past perfect to speak about the first action and you can use simple past to speak about the second action. Okay, in that way you can easily identify the difference between the use of simple past and past perfect in a sentence. Okay, now it's your time. So, I have explained everything. So, my duty is over. So, it's your turn. Now, you have to take page number 61 and there you can find different kinds of textual examples of past perfect tense. You have to read all those sentences given in your textbook in page number 61 and 62 and try to familiarize the structure of past perfect sentence. And you will have an exercise given in page number 62, and the first exercise will be done there for you. So, what you have to do is you have to complete the 5 exercise given in the textbook. You can write there itself, and once you finished writing all those 5 sentences, you can send it to me through my WhatsApp number. Okay. Anyway, we can discuss the first one, only the first one. The rest should be done by yourself. Okay. Let us move on to the first exercise. Read the first one. We were very happy to meet our grandmother again after such a long time. And there is some words are given in the bracket. We not see her for 7 years. So, what your task is to convert those phrases or those words in the form of a sentence in past perfect tense. Okay, let us have a look at the first example. Look at the first one. We not see her for 7 years. Okay. So, as you all know, what is the structure of the past perfect tense? Had plus V3. So, we can say that then we should use had. We had, then not. So, this is a verb. So, when we use had, which form of the verb should be used? V3 form. So, what is the V3 form of the verb? See. See, saw and seen. So, seen is the V3 form. So, we had not seen her for 7 years. Okay. So, in that way you will get, and we can do one more for your better understanding. Look at the second one. Shall I rub it? Look at the second one. She just go out. Now tell me, yes, first one subject. There is no change in subject. She. Then tell me, we have to use had. Very good. Had. She had just. Then go is the verb. So, we have to use the V3 form. I have already mentioned while we were discussing the V1, V2, V3 form, this particular word. What is the V3 form of this word? Go, went, gone. So, she had just gone out. Okay. So, in that way you will get the past perfect sentences. Okay. So, what you have to do is, now 4 sentences are remaining there. You have to go through those 4 sentences right immediately after the completion of watching this online class, and you have to write those answers in the textbook itself and then take a photograph and send it to me. Okay. And again there is another set, B set, and in this B set you will have 5 questions again, and this is also for checking your understanding, whether you understood all these things or not. So, you have to also go through those 5 sentences and you have to tick whichever is applicable or whichever is suitable. Okay. Now, I can give you one example, I can explain you one example. The launch had entered. The launch had entered is actually the example of past perfect tense. So, they left the ISRO job. They left is actually simple past. So, when they left the job, when the launch had completed, they left the job. So, what is the first action? The launch had ended is the first action. Now, you have to say that when they left, before the job or after the launch ended. We can simply say that after the launch ended. So, in that way you have to go through the remaining 4 sentences and find out the correct answers, and you have to tick, and after that you have to take a photograph and send it to me. Then only I will be able to know that you are doing all these things and you are following me. Okay. Now, past and past perfect. So, this is actually the same thing which we discussed with the use of the first example. I had worked there when he came to work there. So, at that time I have already mentioned that when we use simple past and past perfect together in a particular sentence, if we are actually speaking about 2 past actions, we use past perfect to speak about the first action and simple past to speak about the second action. So, actually the set C is actually a couple of examples regarding the use of past and past perfect in a single sentence. So, you have to go through all those sentences and find out the answers. Once you finished finding out the answers, you can write there, and after writing you can send the images to me. So, then I will check and will do every corrections if there is something, and after that I will send back to you. Okay. Now, we can have a look at the first 2 sentences. It is only for your better understanding. Okay. What is the first example? After driving down the road for an hour, the Nagpals discovered that they had taken the wrong route. So, they had taken the wrong route is actually the first action, and it happened as a result of the second action. So, the second action is given in simple past. Nagpals discovered. Okay. So, similarly you have to complete the remaining 5 sentences. And now look at this first example. The thief refused to admit that he stole the money. So, you have to find out which is the first action happened here. That you have to find out firstly. What is the first action happened here? The thief steals something is actually the first action happened. The refusal of thief is actually the result of this action. So, we can say that this is the second action and this is the first action. So, we use which tense to speak about the second action? Simple past. So, we can say that the thief refused to admit that this is actually the first action. So, we have to use which tense? Past perfect. So, we can say that he had plus V3. What is the V3 form of steal? Stolen. That he had stolen the money. So, very simple. I think it is very interesting to find out all those remaining 4 sentences answers. Okay. Then anyway, do as I said. Now, take page number 65. Let us enrich our word store. So, there we can find 6 new words in the first box and 7 new words in the second box. First of all, you have to find out the meaning of those 6 plus 7 words from your dictionary, and you have to write down the meaning of all those words with the help of a dictionary in your notebook. And after finding out the meaning of those words, you have to fill the first paragraph and the second paragraph about whom? About Stephen Hawking. So, it is entirely your task. So, you have to do. So, what you have to do? First of all, you have to take your notebook, then you have to take your pen, then you have to take your dictionary and find out the meaning of all those words given there from the dictionary. And once you completed finding out all those words and their meanings from the dictionary, you can write those words and their meanings in your notebook. And after that, you have to complete those two paragraphs about Stephen Hawking using the suitable words. Okay, this is actually your work. I think you will have a couple of exercise today. Never think that every time the teacher is giving so much exercise. No, it is only for your goodness. And please turn over the page. Here you will have another exercise. Let us use the dictionary. And 5 words are given here. Science as a noun, then science fair as a noun again, then science fiction as a noun again, then scientific as an adjective, and scientist as a noun. And now have a look at the meaning of those words. Science, what do you mean by science? The study of and knowledge about the physical world and natural laws, or one of the subjects into which science can be divided. Then science fair, a competition in which students at a school compete to present the best science project. Science fiction, books, films, etc. about events that take place in the future, often involving travel in space. So, the chapters we just studied comes under which category? Science fiction, because it speaks about something related to science. Then scientific adjective, connected with or involving science. Scientific calculator, that means what? Calculator is actually a noun there, and scientific is used to qualify calculator. What kind of a calculator it is? It is a scientific calculator. So, in that sense it is adjective. Then scientist, noun, again a person who studies or teaches science, especially biology, chemistry or physics. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam was a scientist. Ridu, Karidhal, Nandini, Harinath, the other third woman also are scientists. And now what you have to do is, now fill in the blanks below with the right science term from the above extract. So, there are 5 science terms: science, science fiction, scientific, then scientist and science fair. So, what you have to do is, you have to complete those 6 sentences using the appropriate science terms given in the beginning portion. Okay. So, now we are moving on to the next creative discourse called notice writing. So, read the question aloud. National Science Day is celebrated in India on 28th February each year to mark the discovery of the Raman effect by the great Indian physicist C.V. Raman in 1928. Imagine that the science club at your school is planning to celebrate National Science Day by inviting Jayant Narlikar, the eminent astrophysicist, to give a talk. So, as part of the celebration of National Science Day under the auspices of your science club, imagine that, yeah, as part of the National Science Day celebrations, the science club of your school is decided to invite Jayant Narlikar, the eminent astrophysicist, in order to give a talk. So, what your task is to prepare a notice about that guest lecture. So, that is actually the topic. Write a notice for the school notice board giving details like the date, time, venue and title of the talk, and inviting all students to attend the event. So, now tell me, what are the things you have to mention in a notice writing? Yeah, there should be the date, then there should be the time, then there should be the venue, and there should be the title of the talk, and there should be an invitation. So, now look at the items written on the blackboard. So, these 5 points you should have included in your notice writing. Okay. Now, so you have to say, so when the lecture will be going to held, the date and time, then where the lecture is going to be held, the place, then what is actually the title of the talk to be given by Jayant Narlikar, the chief guest, and you have to also invite all those who are interested in the function. Okay. These details you have to include while preparing a notice writing, and there is a structure for notice writing. So, now please look at the structure of a notice. These are the points you have to include in a notice writing. First of all, there is the title as notice, then you have to write the date. Which date? It is not the date of the incident, or it is not the date of the function, it is the date in which you made this notice. See, for example, in the coming week you will have a function, and you have prepared a notice about that, and you have prepared and set a notice in the notice board. So, this date refers to when the notice is being published. Here you have to mention the date in which the notice is being published. And after that, heading. And what is the heading here? National Science Day celebration, or you can simply write that National Science Day 2018. Okay. And after that, content. So, in this part you have to explain about all the things which I mentioned just before. What are the things? Yeah, the things mentioned in your textbook. You have to give details about the date, time, venue, and the title of the talk, and you have to also invite all to attend the function. So, all those things should be mentioned here. So, see, for example, here you can write Science Day celebration 2018, and here you can write that it has been decided to celebrate the National Science Day celebrations 2018 under the auspices of the Science Club of our school on dash at 12 p.m. in school auditorium. So, we have mentioned about date, venue, time, everything. These are the things you have to include in a notice writing. First of all, the title as notice, then the date in which the notice is being published, then the concerned heading, then the content. In this portion, you have to mention the date, the date, venue, time, and the highlight, and also the invitation. And finally, you have to write the name of the authority. See, for example, if it is published in a school, you know that the principal is the higher authority. So, you can write down the name of the principal and what is the designation. Yeah, principal, Navbharat Model School. Okay, in that way you can prepare a notice. So, now we are moving on to the last exercise, that is speech. Imagine that your school has invited the ISRO scientist Anuradha TK to address the middle school students about the advantage of studying science and becoming a scientist. Write a short script for Anuradha's speech using your own ideas and those mentioned in the reading text. So, remember that the speech should be in the first person, that is you need to use I and me. So, in this speech you have to imagine that you are who? You are Miss Anuradha TK, and the school management, a particular school management invited you and asked you to give an address to students in order to motivate them, and also to speak about the advantage of studying science and the importance of becoming a scientist. So, you are asked to deliver your lecture on this topic, advantage of studying science and becoming a scientist. So, you have to provide or give a motivational speech to the students on which topic? On the importance of studying science and becoming a scientist. Okay. And for that you have to use expressions like I and me, because you are Anuradha TK and you are sharing your own experiences. So, the narration should be in first person narration. So, you can use I and me. And how you can start the speech? First of all, you have to greet the audience. A very good morning to my dear students, and at the same time you have to thank the authority. That means a very good morning to my dear students. I am very grateful to deliver such a lecture on behalf of the future generations of our nation. And at the same time, I want to thank the authority for giving me such an opportunity to interact with the student. So, in that way, you have to begin by greeting the students, at the same time thanking the authority for giving you such an experience. Okay. So, in that way, you have to start your speech. And after that, what are the things you have to focus? Account of life. That means you have to say a brief account of your life. Your life means now you are not you, but now you are Miss Anuradha TK. So, you have to provide an account, a brief account. That means a brief life span of you. That means Anuradha TK, Miss Anuradha TK. So, in that way you have to explain what your life is, what kind of difficulties you come across, something like that. And after that you have to speak about difficulties faced. So, while you were planning to be a scientist, what are the things or what are the difficulties that you have come across while you were thinking to be a scientist? Okay, that difficulties should be mentioned there after greeting and after providing the account of your life. And then you have to say how you would be able to overcome all those difficulties. So, how you would be able to overcome all those difficulties and finally became able to be a scientist, be a space scientist. Then you have to say that experience to the students. And after that you have to give advices. So, now what I am trying to say to you is, you also have to understand that science has many advantages. So, make your mind in a better way to dream to be a scientist. So, in that way you can provide advices, and after that you can just conclude your speech. So, I hope that you all have enjoyed the time. Anyway, I enjoyed the opportunity. Now, it is a time for interaction. If you have any kinds of things you actually want to know from me, you can ask to me. So, in that way you can allot time for interaction. That means inviting the students to ask questions regarding many topics you just spoke. Okay. So, in that way you can just write down a speech there. So, I hope that you understood everything I discussed. If you felt any kind of doubt or if you felt any kind of uncomfortableness in order to write the speech, at any time you can call me. At any time means you can call me before 8 p.m. and after clarifying your doubts, you can start writing or preparing a speech. Anyway, once you completed writing a particular homework, you have to take a photograph and send it to me for correcting the particular exercise. Okay, so you will have a plenty of exercise today. You have past perfect tenses, so many sentences to be completed using simple past and past perfect. Then you will have 2 paragraphs for completion using difficult words. Then you will have again 6 sentences to be completed using different terms, using science fiction, scientific, something like that. And after that you have to write a notice, then you have to write a speech. Anyway, I will give some time. Don't need to complete everything immediately after watching the video class. You only need to complete the grammar portion today itself, and grammar portion and the completion of the paragraph and the completion of the 5-6 sentences using science term, that can be done by today itself and send it to me. And for speech writing and for notice writing, you can take at least 2 or 3 days. So you can submit within 2 or 3 days. I think the time will be sufficient. So anyway, so we have discussed many things in this single class. I hope that you understood everything we discussed today. Anyway, thank you. Have a nice day.